Happy Thursday, Kathy.
Happy Thursday and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's exciting.
Yeah, it is. How was your delayed Christmas?
Delayed Christmas was good. It was so fun because my daughter and I, we share our Amazon wish lists. I can talk. I can wish lists with each other.
Yeah.
And then she had pulled some things off my wish list. I always wanted one of those vintage clocks with the cat with the tail that goes back and forth and the eyes go back and forth. So my neighbor picked up batteries, 2 C-cell batteries. Who would have guessed that a clock runs on C-cell batteries? Anyway, so she picked up batteries. So I'm gonna hang that tonight, and I'll be able to sit in my kitchen and watch the cat's tail twitch, and I'm excited about that. It's the little things.
I love it.
But she also took it upon herself to upgrade the things on my wish list. So I wanted a burr grinder for coffee because I like grinding my own coffee beans. And she was like, "Oh, that's a nice one you picked, Mom, but this one's better." And she got me the better one,
Nice.
And I mean, I am a techie girl. I wanted automatic salt and pepper shakers. So she got me the salt and pepper shakers. I just push a button. There's a light at the bottom so you can see the salt coming out and that kind of thing. But instead of getting me battery operated ones like the ones I had registered for, oh no, my daughter gets me rechargeable and has a home base. And as long as you put them back on the base, they stay charged. So I'm telling you, I feel swanky in my condo lately.
That is so nice. And since they have to be on the home base, you'll always know where they are, which is the problem around my house. I don't know where anything walks off to.
Well, when you live alone, it's easier to find things because that's always where you left them.
Yeah.
I always said when the last kid left the house, when I was married, we had 3 together. I had 1, he had 2. Anyway, when the last one left the house, funny, but my shampoo never ran out. The milk was always, all of those things that happen. And now that I live alone, the only thing I have to watch is the cat food because I'm not eating that. But at least not yet. I mean, who knows? When I'm 80 something, I may be like, "Is this tuna fish?" No, Mom, it's cat food. Yeah. But anyway, and she loved the gifts I got her. I got her some things off of her wish list too. But again, we had talked about so many weeks now the Guess Who game that I made for her.
Yeah.
She loved it. She absolutely loved it. She sent pictures to some of her friends. They were like, "Finally, we could talk about it," because they're all on it.
So cool. Yeah.
So it was good. It was really good. It was good to see her and hug her. And I mean, I knew she was safe after the storm and everything because I've been in constant touch with her, of course. But to see her and touch her and hold her arms and kiss her, face and all of those kinds of things, it did my heart good to spend that time together. So,
yeah. Oh, that's so good. I'm so glad that you were able to connect finally. Especially, I've seen because I didn't know what happened because I don't really. Gotta protect my space. And so I don't really watch the news or anything. But I finally just yesterday saw some of the pictures of the houses in Buffalo that were completely iced over. That is insane.
Yeah. It's because they're right on Lake Erie. They're on Lake Erie right into the Niagara River. And so no matter where you are in Buffalo, you're within a mile of major major lake effect, snow and lake effect, everything. And basically they got an interior hurricane level winds blizzard. And so it was pretty bad, but houses burned. I mean, we've talked about this, I think, houses burned down, people died. And I am not downplaying any of that. I am just super grateful that my daughter and her husband and their pets survived the whole thing with minimal loss.
That is so cool.
I even let her grocery shop in my kitchen.
Yeah.
help her, restock the refrigerator and that kind of thing. I'm like, well, I've got a lot of onions, take some onions. Oh, I only used half of this bag of cheese for lasagna. I'm never going to use the other half. Why don't you take some mozzarella? And she's like, okay, thanks, Mom. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
the free
store.
Good.
That's what we used to call it when we were teenagers or when we were in college and we'd go home. It's like Mom's house is the free store.
You're not going to eat the soup, are you, Mom? I could take this back to school, right? Yes, you could have my favorite soup. It's all good. I can buy more. So it was good. It was good. And then I have a big family. There's 6 of us, siblings. 3 the OGs are the three of me and my two brothers from my mom and my dad. My dad then and his second wife adopted my sister Amanda. And then dad and his third wife had the two, what I call little boys. They're not little anymore. They're 14 and 17. Joshua's gonna be 18 next week, actually. But I'm 54, right? So, and the youngest is 14. So there's a big age discrepancy between us. Anyway,
Wow.
all of that to say, the two youngest ones are actually, I hate the word, but they're orphans now, right? So they don't have a mom or a dad. Their mom passed away 9 years ago. So they live in Oklahoma City, right outside of Moore, Oklahoma, with my brother Rob and his wife Terry and their daughter Allie. And so Rob said, send something to the boys for Christmas. We don't typically send things between siblings, but the younger ones, yeah, especially because it's been a rough year for everybody. I said, well, what do they need? What do they want? He's like, they go off campus for lunch every day. So give them gift cards. So I bought them each a wallet, and I filled it with gift cards for fast food and Starbucks and things like that. And then because my brother Rob is from Rochester, I filled the box with Rochester sauces. So some of these won't mean anything to people if you're not from the Rochester, but we have a local meat hot sauce. Like we make this delicacy called a garbage plate. It is a heart attack on a plate, and it is so freaking good. I think you had one when you were here, maybe, or you saw it anyway. So I sent two different meat sauces, like from different locations here. I sent dinosaur barbecue sauce, which is a local delicacy as well, and then Frank's red hot sauce for wings. Like I just loaded up, and Speedy sauce, so all Western New York stuff, so that they can recreate some of Rochester down there in Oklahoma. So that was a lot of fun too.
That's great.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, so I feel like the holidays,
Christmas.
I finally got through the holidays. Yes.
Yeah. It's, I love the holidays. I love being able to like just connect with people, and just like there's this especially between Christmas and New Year's, there's this space to just think and be and get in touch with yourself. And so I love that. But at the same time, it's like leading up to it, you almost need that space, because it's just like between
so frenetic
Black Friday sales and all of the craziness of November into December. It's like you need that week to just do nothing.
Absolutely. I'm super grateful to be through it, but I'm super grateful that, for the time that we had as well. And I love the feeling of a new year being new beginnings for things too. I tweeted that I don't really like resolutions. I think we might've talked about this last week a little bit too. Really love making goals. And I can't remember if we talked about our goals last week. It's been a while, but I'm already starting to work on my first goal, which is to create a book with a local friend of mine. And so we've got our first date set on the calendar to meet and start planning that. So I'm super excited about that.
Amazing. That's great. I have taken no steps whatsoever on my goal, because I kind of got sidetracked by that whole Christmas morning impromptu inspiration YouTube thing that I did. And then all of a sudden I'm like advising all of these people what to do about their password managers. And it's just like kind of took me in this new direction that I did not expect whatsoever. But it's been really interesting, and it's been fun, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. And it's like inspiring me to do all kinds of other stuff too. And I'm still going to do the Zantastic thing. It's still going to happen. It's just like, I did a thing, and now it's happening. I'm just like, it's like, but I've done 2 videos now, and I've gotten over 10,000 views altogether. And I just don't.
That's amazing.
I don't know what happened really, but it's kind of cool, and it's been funny. And the great thing is like, it was Christmas morning. It's like, okay, do I put this on one of the corporate accounts, or, I'm just going to do it for me, because it's just like me, and it's Christmas morning. And so I just did it for me. And, but it's inspiring me to do stuff for like work stuff. But the cool thing is, so I've told everybody at work, like what's happening with it. And everybody's like really not like, well, you should have done this for, like, no, it didn't feel right on Christmas morning to do that. It just didn't feel right. It didn't feel, but everybody's being so supportive, and like, that's great. And oh my gosh, Kathy's influencer thing, like just hilarious, like funny stuff. but it's like, it's good for me. It's good for the brands that I represent. It's just good all the way around, and everybody's celebrating it. And that's like such a nice thing that
Can I have your,
everybody is.
can I have
What?
your autograph? Can I have your autograph?
I have to say too, you have been, because I've been like, what the hell's going on, right? And you've been so supportive. I'm like, this thing is coming in. I don't know what to do. And you have guided, you've been like, you've been my one. I've asked like two people. One person didn't get back to me. You got back to me right away and helped me, like guided me through some of this stuff.
Good.
And just, yeah, you have been amazing. So thank you for your friendship there, because
Oh, you're
I
welcome.
totally in and over my head.
It's funny. And, we had talked a little bit, I'm not going to tip our hands to anybody that we work with or anything, but we had some conversation about pricing, right? And traditionally women undersell ourselves. We undervalue ourselves, and we underappreciate, we lack confidence in a lot of ways. And I don't know what changed for me, except I had this one idea of what I would price something at. And I asked a couple of different people. I asked a woman and I asked a man what my pricing should be. And the woman's came up with a couple hundred more than what I had been thinking. And the man doubled it. So what I did is I took both advice. I doubled it and added the couple hundred. And the customer said, sounds good to me. And I was like, well, I'll be damned. Yep. So now my rule of thumb is double it and add a little, because you can always negotiate down, but you can't say, oh, you're willing to give me that price, well, then I want to charge more. Like, you can't do that. Right. And so
right.
And I also remember the fact that, like, if somebody takes you up on it, you just created work for yourself. So you want to make it worth your time and worth your while.
Right. Yeah.
And you
And what
deserve
I
it.
did.
You're an influencer.
Yeah, that still has not like taken up home in my psyche or anything yet, but
Me
at the
either.
same time I need to start embracing it, because and I'm not like, oh, I'm an influencer. I'm like, no, I want to help people figure this stuff out so they're not scared, because the last best thing, if you really look at what happened and what's going on, it's like there's some sketchy stuff going on. It is scary, and we've got all your passwords in one basket, and that basket is with a company that's not being forthright about what really happened. It's scary. And so I want to help people. So if that makes me an influencer, I'll own that. No problem. But, so this brand came to me and it's like, well, hey, can you consider talking about our product? And I was like scared. I'm like, Michelle, what do I do? And that's when you advised me to price it in a certain way. In order to be comfortable for me, I needed like a bullet point list of here's your deliverables of what you get.
Yeah,
and that's all I did. And then that doubled price felt good. And I could sell it then, because then it felt like,
it wasn't arbitrary then, right? It wasn't just an arbitrary number.
Right. And it wasn't just, but I just, and the things that I added as deliverables were not things that were crazy. I was going to do those things anyway, but I just like really made it look like you're getting something big. First of all, you got me.
Exactly. The Kim Kardashian of WordPress.
Yeah, I told my daughter last night, she's being a stinker. And I'm like, my name starts with a K for a reason. And that's because Kardashians all start with a K too. And she's like, if you're going to do Kardashian, you're going to need to get a facelift. And I'm just like, oh, please. And I did not have a comeback to her. I was just like, oh my gosh, she's so smart. She's starting to get better than me. I don't have any comeback here, but yeah, exactly. It's just like, but here's the deal is like, I think a lot of people are really scared to like put themselves out there and say, I am an influencer, or to put themselves out there and say, I have this, I have a personal brand, or I have this social media presence, or I can sell things or whatever. People are afraid to do that, I think, a lot of times. But it's like, if you take yourself or your idea of yourself out of the equation, and it's just like, okay, this thing's going on and I need to help people, then it's like completely different. But then that thing that you think you were supposed to be doing of like building a personal brand, that's not yours. It doesn't happen. That's everybody's perception of you. So just like let that happen on its own, but just like be of service to people. And then it all just happens. And
absolutely.
And that's where your value is. And then you can really feel valuable, because I think we are all worth it. And I think but I don't think people own what that worth really is. Like you have anybody who's listening to this, and you too, Michelle, you have so much knowledge, so much to offer this world. You've done so much. You can just make so many different connections, and your intuition and your ability to read a market are top level. I mean, some of the best I've ever seen in terms of like brand awareness and stuff like that.
Thank you.
That's valuable. And people aren't paying you necessarily for your time. They're paying you for your expertise, for your knowledge, for your ability to intuit and see things that maybe they can't. And that's what's valuable. It's not like, oh, well, doing this one thing or doing all of these posts or writing this blog post is going to take me 3 hours and, $50 an hour or whatever you think in your mind. It's like, no, but what could anybody else do it just like you? Probably not.
I mean, nobody could do anything just like somebody else. We all have our own take on things. Can I brag for a second? Because I very seldom actually brag, but I don't know. I don't remember if I shared this with you yesterday or not, because I was like mind blown. But I was in the middle of a work meeting yesterday on Zoom. I'd already given my update and my phone starts ringing, and I'm on mute, of course. And I'm like, I do the thing where I Google a phone number before I answer it, because I was like, I don't care about Dun & Bradstreet. I don't have a business anymore. I know where my car's warranty is from, and it's not from whoever's calling, like all of those things, right? And you're not going to sell me your Google services because I know how to do that. So like all of those things. So I Google the phone number real quick while it's still, and it's the local television station. Yeah. So I already muted, but I like muted so I couldn't hear the computer, and I answered the call, and it was, and I can't remember her name. I wish I had like committed to memory, but I was so shocked. But I found out that I am one of 4 finalists for the WROC, which is our local TV station, 2023 Rochester Remarkable Women. So one of my coworkers, Jeff from Give WP, nominated me, because he's here in Rochester too.
Oh my gosh.
And nominated me, and I'm one of 4 finalists for this award that I just was like blown away. Just like I started crying. I'm like, all the things. And I'm super excited. And yes, if I don't win, it's absolutely an honor to
just
be nominated
in the top 4.
Yeah.
My gosh.
But damn it, I want to win. We'll see. But
you won to me.
I just
got this impression of like your dad being like super proud. You know what I mean? Like your dad.
Thanks.
If he's watching all that, I think he'd be so proud of you. That is so cool.
Which is funny because he was a misogynist. Like my dad did not think that women, like when he found out I worked in tech, he assumed I was a secretary for somebody who did tech. He literally did. Like that's how it was, right? And when he found out, like I would talk up myself to my dad. Like I would not talk up myself to other people, but like, Dad, I'm internationally known in WordPress. Like people all over the world know who I am and ask me to speak and ask me for my bio and all these things. I like the founder of WordPress sees my face and knows my name. And he's like, oh, really? Like it was like shocking to him. And he died last year. The year before is when my daughter got married. And at the reception, my sister-in-law turned to him and said, Phil, have you ever told Michelle you're proud of her? Well, she knows I'm proud of her. I'm sure I've said it. She knows I'm proud of her. And I said, you've actually never said it to me, Dad. And she hounded him for 5 minutes until he finally turned and said, I am proud of you, And I'm like, it was the first time I'd ever heard it. It was the last time I ever heard it too. But it was nice to hear. And the fact that he couldn't believe that women could work in technology. Like I'm like, Dad, I don't have to be a programmer to work in tech. Like I don't have to program things to work in tech. And so it was very interesting, that whole thing. So yes, I think he would be like proud and just pleased with
our parents grew up in such a different time. I remember when I was young and my mom, she didn't work, and then eventually she did. It was like, I remember, do you remember I could bring home the bacon?
Actually,
actually, that's what it was. I remember that, and I'm like, that's what my mom's doing, because she went to work and she wasn't home, and she was, it was just like the Gen X thing where moms went to work and It was very trailblazing, and I think very hard for them too. And she was, doing sales and stuff like that, but I think it was just hard for her. And so every like little win was like this huge win for her. And she did really well, but man, it must have been so hard for women back in the 70s and 80s to do that kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
Just trailblazing.
And absolute, like raise the roof, raise your hands, raise your voice, whatever, to those women who took those leaps of faith for us. I saw an article within the last year of the first woman to run the Boston Marathon, and how the men who were running it literally grabbed her, threw her to the ground. Like, she finished it because she refused to give up, and the tenacity that she had was just amazing. But men were literally pushing this woman to the ground so she wouldn't run in a race that had traditionally been only men. And if she hadn't done that, like, probably somebody else would have eventually, right? But the fact that somebody was willing to put themselves out and do those kinds of things has opened doors for us to be able to do the things we do. And I hope that I'm opening doors for women behind me too, because it's not equal, right? It's not equal as it should be yet. And so I'm really hoping that the things that you and I do, we're laying the groundwork for our daughters and the women who come behind them to be able to have an easier time in tech, in STEM, and STEAM, and whatever career that they want to have, and at whatever level they want to do it. So
that's why I've dragged my kids to tons of different word camps so that they can see, first of all, community, because I think not even before COVID, I had complaints about how social community had really broken down, and sort of like these tribes of people who like watched out for each other's kids and things like that. That was kids were getting more and more isolated with being on their phones all the time. And so I had complaints there. And I was like, okay, well, you're going to come see what community really is, because it's not just the kids you go to school with. It's people who have retired, and people who are in college, and people who have jobs, and people who are trying to start a business. And WordPress brings all of that together in one place with word camps and stuff like that. It's a very physical, visceral. And I knew a bunch of other people who would bring their kids too. And so they'd go kind of play, but they're also like going and listening to, I remember WordCamp Phoenix, and my daughter sat with me listening to Troy Dean, who runs Mavericks. He's from Australia, and he was in the States for something, and he gave a talk at WordCamp Phoenix, and it was all about like envisioning. It was like motivational. It was about envisioning your future and like manifesting your future based on your vision and your visualizations. And I'm like, oh yes, listen, child. This is like the perfect mix of like WordPress and empowerment and like mindset empowerment. And it was just like one of the better talks I'd ever seen. And to be able to like give that gift to my kid, she'll be affected for that. And then, that night, of course, WordCamp Phoenix like had a game truck, and we're playing video games and just like playing and having fun too. And like just celebrating this community we have together. And I want her to know that is normal. That's the way it should be. People are supposed to be supportive with each other, and, grow up and go find that, even if it is all your weird horse people. Whatever it's going to be, but that's normal.
We got our weird tech people too. So like there's a weird faction of every organization, every group, every community. So absolutely. But yeah, so I'm excited about the things you're working on. I'm excited about the things I'm working on. It's silly to think of ourselves as influencers in a lot of respects, but there's a great power that comes, and a great responsibility that comes with that too. And I think that you and I are really working hard for the community, not just for ourselves. And I think that shows in the things that we do. And so I think we should keep doing it and lean into it and embrace it. And I mean, I'm not going to like wear a t-shirt that says I'm an influencer, but I don't think they come in my size, but maybe.
Influencer.
I'll have one made. But I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about this year, and I'm super excited about sharing it weekly with you. So
yeah, this is so much. These conversations have been so much fun for me to just like really kind of take stock of what we're doing here. And so I really love these conversations, and I'm really grateful to everybody who's listening and watching, and hopefully getting something from this, and also maybe seeing a little of yourself in the conversation that we're having, because yes, Michelle is amazing. I'm so proud of you for this.
And likewise,
this amazing award. This is so cool. But I hope other people see themselves in you and everything that you've done and say, I can do that too.
Mm-hmm. And I think that for both of us, I think we've both had not only professional goals and professional things that we can point to and say that we've made great strides and helped other people, but personally overcome a lot of obstacles, and things to put us where we are in a happy, positive, albeit sometimes overwhelming, but still we rise. And I think that that's pretty awesome for both of us. So thank you. Thanks for being part of my journey. I appreciate you.
Thank you too. Thanks for everything and for all your advice and everything too, and just your support.
Anytime.
You're amazing.
Anytime. I think you are as well. So, okay, enough mutual admiration for the day. If you're still listening, we love you too. And we'll see you next week.
Bye.